up, and welcome back to Opposites Attract Podcast. This is Sonja Ramirez, your girl, and I'm sitting next to
Miguel Ramirez.
What's up, everybody? How is your day?
How was your week?
How is your life?
Going. And before we get started, make sure you guys go to our website, oppositesattractpodcast.com. Like we've said before, the best thing you could do is share this with somebody else, like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. Let them know that the podcast is out there. Go to our clips channel, Opposites Attract Podcast Clips on YouTube, and share a clip with somebody else. You can follow us at Opposite Pod on everything, or search Opposites Attract Podcast and you'll find us.
Yes, yes.
Yep.
So I have been in the mood to play.
You have been since we woke up.
Yes. No. What? Before.
I mean, since this weekend.
Like, it's just been that. Like, that's been who I have been being.
Yeah.
You know, just walking that around the house, whistling and singing and just, yeah. And I was doing some work on Friday, and that's what I'm like, I'm so stupid. Like, I'm driving, I don't remember, probably back from the gym. And I just want to play. Like, I just hear that within my being. Like, I just want to play.
Like a kid?
And I just start singing, I just want to play. Like, I start singing it. And then so when I come home, I look outside and it is absolutely beautiful outside.
Yeah.
And I don't have music on or anything. And I'm sitting there. I decide I'm going to take my laptop out. And I'm going to go sit in the grass in the front yard. And that's where I'm going to work today.
Yeah.
So I sat out in the front yard. And as I'm looking up, there's the most beautiful breeze. Like, it's just, it's perfect.
It's crazy. Like, Arizona, after it rains, goes through these few days where there's like, because we don't see a lot of clouds out here, right? Because the skies are always just bright and blue, not many clouds. And then a lot of times it's hot as shit. But then after it rains, like, the clouds are low and they cover the sky, and it's just different after it rains, right?
Yes. This may have been Thursday or Friday, one of the days.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting out there in the front, and the breeze and the sun is perfectly shining. Like, the temperature is absolutely amazing. And as I'm sitting there, I'm watching the leaves like dance across the street.
They're getting
like,
blown down the street.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's like a dance, and you can hear the sound of the leaves as they're dancing across. So I'm like creating my own music, and no, I'm not shrooming. No. Because some of you probably saw that we went to, we'll get into that.
Yeah.
Anyways, but I'm sitting there and I'm just paying attention to everything around me. And it's just, I'm just in heaven, you know, just loving every bit of it and watching, you know, because there's always younger kids outside too that are playing.
It's like a fairy tale.
Yeah. And then just being with me and taking in the moment. And we were talking about the power of now, and you didn't know I was going to go through any of this. When we record, we just record, and then whatever comes up for me, comes up for me.
Yeah, it always goes differently. Like, well, what are we starting with? And then we go off on something completely different.
We didn't even say that.
Yeah, we
today.
barely, talk.
But we were talking about like the pain body and the ego, and that's chapter 2, and the power of now.
Yeah.
And he talks about how to minimize and how to take back your life so that you're not allowing your ego to control you. And it's sitting in the now. It's being present with everything around you, including you.
Yeah.
And I've been practicing that for a long time now. And I think now it's becoming just even more, I'm becoming more aligned with that.
Like, you can be in that state more often.
Even without meditating.
Yeah.
Just, and that's where joy, like that's where everything lies. It's just really when you start to pay attention to everything around you and realizing that this moment is the moment.
Yeah.
You know, whatever happened yesterday or whatever's happening tomorrow really doesn't matter. Like this very moment is everything.
Yeah.
You know, you and I don't know if you wanted to share anything else regarding that. We might as well get into that, I guess.
Right. Yeah. Since we were already doing it. No, there was I kind of wanted to go over because we've been talking about the power of now, and I have been going through it. Kind of got back to it a little bit last week. And there was a couple things that I wrote down, but like before you're present in that moment, a lot of times we have anxiety about what's going to happen in the future, or we have feelings about things that have happened in the past. Right. And in the book, he was saying you would rather be in the pain body than take a leap into the unknown and risk losing the familiar unhappy self. Observe the resistance within yourself. Observe the attachment to your pain. Be alert. Observe the peculiar pleasure you derive from being unhappy. Observe the compulsion to talk or think about it. That's a big one.
That's huge.
Talking and thinking about it is just perpetuating it longer and longer. I've done that. And that's kind of like I don't know if it was last week or a couple weeks ago that I was talking about, like when you've been angry or you've been frustrated or whatever, when you've done that even if you've been pissed off for half an hour, you're invested in that half an hour. I've been pissed for half an hour.
Right.
So then you're like, you could choose to stop and just be happy or think something different, think a positive thought, listen to a song that puts you in a different mood or whatever, but you're already invested. I've been pissed, you know? And there is that unconscious, it's like you're conscious of it at a certain point, but it still happens unconsciously that you go back to, but this is you just get back into that. You keep thinking about the same thing over again. And it's like, enough already.
Right.
I'm done with that.
And let's take it back a little bit, because I know our listeners are right now, or you're listening to this and you're like, oh yeah, sounds easy, but you guys been doing this for a while. You've been working on yourselves for a while, and we will continue to do that. You know, it is difficult to, it is, but it isn't. Like when you have a past and you haven't worked on your trauma and you've been running from it by numbing yourself with alcohol or drugs or TV, sex, porn, food, whatever it is, if you have not taken the time to self-reflect and ask yourself, why am I feeling this way? Or why am I this way? When you get to that point where you're just sick and tired of living the same lifestyle and being the same way, and you're wanting something different, that is the God nudge. That's the nudge that it's time for you to look into the suffering, look into the pain, and stop covering it up. And that's what I do. That's what, me as a coach, that is what I am really, really good at. And so know this, but there are books out there as well. It is, and it will take you longer to self-heal when you are trying to do it on your own, but you can do it. You can do it. And there's, like with meditation, there's meditation out there. Reading this book, The Power of Now, will also plant a seed. I'm in the process of writing a book that is going to help you tremendously break free from your past trauma, from your past pain, from all the things that have been holding you back in life. That book is in process. And so know that like you're not alone with what you're feeling and what you're going through. We've been through it.
Yeah.
We've been through it. And so you have to start somewhere, but you have to get to that point where you're like, enough is enough. Like, I am just sick of this.
You know what? I think, like you're talking about how we have, well, we were just talking about how you have this compulsion to kind of go back and keep thinking about this
Right.
the same thing. But you're also saying that you have to work on this stuff.
Yes.
Right? So how can you think about it and like you're thinking about it and it's making things worse, but you also have to think about it to process where it's coming from and what happened.
Yeah.
So like, what is the difference?
Between processing and
Between just perpetuating this anxiety of what I've been through in the past and this is why I'm fucked up and all this other stuff versus processing it in a way to release that trauma.
You can journal it. Like,
Do you understand what I'm saying?
I think so.
Because when you're maybe you're procrastinating on something and you're thinking, I'm so lazy, I'm so fucked up, like this, and like
and it may not be that, right? Like, that's the thing. Most people, they think that, and then they don't realize that at one point that little girl was told because her room was dirty or she wasn't keeping up on it that you are lazy. Like, what are you doing? That you're so lazy. You are so this, you are so that. So now they're doing things unconsciously because they are unaware of the pattern that was created. And this is why they keep doing the thing that they keep doing, because that what happened to them in the past is how they're showing up in the world, because they believed that to be true when that was a story that was created within them.
So in the moment, what do you think is a way that you can, instead of having the thought of, I'm so lazy, maybe you say it in your head.
Yeah.
But you start to, I mean, if you're listening
Becoming
to this,
aware.
you can start catching yourself like,
Yes.
oh yeah, they said, we were talking about, and you catch those judgments of yourself. And then where do you go from there? How do you change that?
You want to continue to, what I do with my clients is I have them track their thoughts.
Okay.
Right? Because tracking their thoughts will lead. Like, if it's something that keeps coming up, well, I'm so lazy.
Yeah.
I'm never going to be able to get this business off the ground, or I'm never going to be able to lose weight because like I can't seem to get it right. When you track your thoughts and these thoughts like are repetitive, there's something there.
I'm stupid. I'm lazy.
Right.
It's judgments.
It's questioning and going in and meditating on that. Okay, where is this coming from? And take yourself, you have to feel it. It's almost like a feeling, like you have to take yourself back. The only way you're going to be able to recognize this is in stillness. It's shutting down the noise. It's turning off the whatever you're numbing yourself with, and actually facing it and going within and questioning, where is this coming from? Where is this stemming from? And it's like having a conversation with your higher self or God, whatever you believe, and allowing that to come up and giving it the time for it to come up. As children, we see black or white. Either you love me or you don't love me. And the situations that we create are with that 5-year-old's brain at that time.
Or the way of thinking, right?
Or the way of thinking. When you take yourself back to that, oh, this is what happened, you have to sit with that. And then realize who you actually were at that time. I had to do that. Like, because I didn't feel that I was smart.
Yeah.
And for me, I couldn't remember the day that seed was planted. And maybe it was planted by different people as well. For me, it was more of a feeling. I remember being in school, not wanting to raise my hand, or not being, please don't pick on me, to read.
Yeah.
Right? I would never raise my hand, even if I thought I knew the answer, because I believed that I was stupid. And I don't know where that came from, but it was a feeling. And I remember just being in school. So taking yourself back to that situation, and how did you feel, right? Like I felt very sad. Like I just wanted to hide. I don't want to be seen. And taking myself back to that little girl and how she felt. And then sitting with that for a moment and then thinking back to who I actually was. I was very loving. I was very kind. And I was a smart little girl. I just learned different. But it was now as an adult, I realized that I just learned different. I'm a kinesthetic learner. I didn't know that as a 5-year-old, as a 6-year-old. I just thought I was dumb because I wasn't learning like all the other children. But now it's my adult self speaking to my little girl and I'm going to get emotional and telling her, you were wise. Yeah. There's a different, like you were wise. You weren't dumb. You just learned different. Like, how would you talk to your child if your child is feeling that way?
And people are all different. People are all different. You have a gift in an area that comes to you naturally and that you continue to work on. That is different from, like, maybe other people have it in a certain level, but not the way you do. It's just different for you, you know? So people are all different too. You learn differently than somebody else. And I think also, like, just learning about stuff. I mean, I always kind of go back to, like, I try to think about things in the simplest terms. And for people, simplest terms for me always kind of goes back to living in a small community, like a small tribe. Mm-hmm. Like, it seems like that's the way things should be, or the way, I don't know, maybe not should be, but where we would be in our most natural state, I guess. Mm-hmm. Not in a big city with airplanes flying over. Like, we would be in a small community. We would know everybody. We would care about each other. We would have disagreements. We would work them out. You know, shit happens, even still in small communities. How would knowledge get passed down? They wouldn't have a classroom to do it. And that's the way things have happened for how many years? Mm-hmm. Throughout so many communities, so many places throughout the world. That's how they did it. Come here, let me show you something.
Right.
But then things that are out of our control start happening.
Right.
Like the Industrial Revolution. You got to get people in factories building shit.
Yeah.
So how do you do that?
Yeah.
You put people in a classroom to learn shit.
Right. But that was just an example.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Of the stories that we create. I had that within me that I was stupid.
And another thing before, like, you continue on is like that I haven't mentioned this in a while, but a lot of times we hear a story of somebody else, mm-hmm. or maybe of a kid or even an adult, but you hear about the stuff that they went through as a kid and you have so much empathy for that kid. Mm-hmm. And then if you think about your own story, and if that was somebody else's story that they were telling you, mm-hmm. you would have a lot more empathy for that person and for that kid.
Right.
But you don't have it for yourself.
Right. So that's how the self-healing, the self-process works, as you have to take yourself through this process of having that empathy for that little girl or that little boy and how they felt at the moment. And it's loving your inner child. So it is a huge process. And I know this is a lot to take in. But like I said, that's the reason behind the book that I am writing. And I know I haven't mentioned this, but I am coaching through Zoom as well. So, you know, if you don't live in this state and you can't come to me and you've been thinking about hiring me or you want to, but you just don't live in Arizona, I opened up that option as well, as coaching through Zoom. But anyways, the power of now, this book really helps you with becoming more aware and more present in the very moment. And even if you have not healed from past pain or past trauma, it's like waking up in the morning we all have something to be grateful for. And if you're waking up in the morning, that in itself is something to be grateful for because somebody else did not wake up. but it starts with gratitude.
And you can also think about other situations that people around the world are waking up to.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times we're so, we just think about the world that's like close by around us. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of places in the world where people are waking up to something way different than what you're waking up to.
Yeah.
Some people are waking up starving.
Yeah.
Starving. Starving and don't know where the next meal is coming from. Some people are waking up on a park bench. Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's been something that has kept coming up as just like this shift in perspective on so many things. Little shifts, big shifts. Like it's just over time, your perspective starts changing on everything.
Yeah.
I'm
glad you brought it back because, it's easy to say. And I have to take myself back because now I'm in a different place in my life. I'm in such a different space that it's easy for me to be in the now, even though there's times where I fall off and I have to forgive myself and make it right.
And that's a lifelong
forever
process. Like the forgiving doesn't finish.
Right. And that's a different episode.
Right.
But yeah, it's constant. But it's like when you do fall out of the being in the present moment and maybe you snap at your child or you snap at your husband, it's apologizing, making it right, but also making it right for you. And I never thought about that. Right. It's like, I'm sorry, and apologizing for what I did, but I never thought about apologizing to self.
Yeah.
Like forgiving myself and just making it right with myself.
Yeah.
That was huge for me to recognize that. So the power of now, because I know it's not a book that you would have picked up. Like this is not a book.
I'm enjoying it.
Yes. So I was going to ask you what are, some things you're in chapter 3 or chapter 2. I wanted to go over that, the ego stuff like that, because I think it's very important. And the way to dissolve the ego is he talks about just being in the present moment, like being in the present moment. And that is like, it's a new habit and you have to train yourself to be in the now. It's like, you know what? Taking a shower.
Dissolving the ego. Do you want to dissolve the ego? Because
no,
I don't
you
think
want to,
you want to train the fucking ego.
Right. That's right. Like you're my bitch.
Yeah. Like I'm going to use you.
I'm going to use you when I need you. No.
And right now I don't need you.
Right.
Like.
Yeah. It's like the mind, like it's a tool. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
There was, is there something you wanted to get into like on chapter 2?
No, just that, like, the ego, being able to identify with it. And the ego, I'll just talk about this. So pain is inevitable as long as you are identified with your mind, which is to say, as long as you are unconscious, spiritually speaking. I am talking here primarily of emotional pain, which is also the main cause of physical pain and physical disease. Hatred, self-pity, guilt, anger, depression, jealousy, and so on, even the slightest irritation, are all forms of pain, and every pleasure or every emotional high contains within itself a seed of pain.
And that pain comes from because there's a judgment attached to it.
Right. And that can be from your past. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of like what we were talking earlier is, how you can kind of work through it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was also talking about the being in the present moment. Mm-hmm. And we mentioned it a little bit earlier, but how you can deal with what's happening in the moment, but your mind goes crazy with what can happen in the future.
Right.
And all the judgments of all the stuff that's happened in the past. Mm-hmm. And I've mentioned it before about like fighters, how there is this anxiety. You have these butterflies because there is a chance that you can get your head smashed in, you can get punched in the face when the fight starts or whatever. But there's something about when the cage door closes or when the bell rings that everything is clear. And maybe you get punched in the face one time and then it's like, I'm here. Mm-hmm. Like this is, and then it's just like now And then being in that moment is also when you start getting into those states where things start happening slower, and you see things happening and you can react almost in slow motion, even though they're happening quick, but you're in that moment.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
But understanding that it's all, I mean, like he says it on here. He says, you can always cope with the present moment. You cannot cope with that which is a mind projection.
Yeah.
It is. That's all these things are. It's a mind projection. And then another thing kind of related to that, I wrote down, it says using clock time versus psychological time is shifting your perspective to use your past and your future to your benefit. I wrote that, like I kind of added to it, but that because he was talking about clock time, like almost like that time doesn't exist, right? But it does. I mean, there is time because we're on this planet and it spins around the earth and shit. So time exists for us on this planet. But yeah, if you're out in space on a different, like time is different everywhere, right? But as far as our lifetime, what he's talking about, using the clock time, which is the time of the moment, like what's happening right now, maybe things that you have to do in the future, but not psychological time. It's using clock time is using just time for what it is. That is my past. I have things that I have to do in the future, but it's not. Psychological time is when you're going back into your past and you're feeling emotions of things that have already happened that are not here anymore.
Right.
It's the anxiety of what could happen in the future, even though it hasn't even happened, you know, and being in clock time right now.
Right.
And what do I have to do? Oh, I got to do that. Okay, let's do that. But then when it's like, oh, you lazy piece of shit, it's like, oh, we're getting into psychological time. You're stressing yourself out about all these things you got to do in the future.
Right.
And I do it.
It's kind of like this morning, you know, like you and I, like we're normally up and during, you know, we get up early during the weekdays and even the weekends, like we just get up early. And today we had such a solid sleep.
You guys are lucky you're getting a podcast. We could have been sleeping still.
We had such a solid sleep. And when I woke up, when I opened my eyes, I'm just laying next to you, feeling the warmth of your body and feeling the softness of the blanket.
Oh,
right?
Man.
And just the quiet. It was so peaceful. It was so quiet. Like the kids were quiet. There was no damn cat meowing. The dogs were asleep. Oh, that was for sure this morning. And I'm just laying there and I'm like, oh, this is so good. And then you open your eyes and you look at me and you just smile and you're like, I could sleep all day.
Yep.
And I told you, because you were like thinking already, like, we got to record the podcast. And I'm like, no, like, let's enjoy this. Because you said something like it's late.
Yeah.
Like you told me the time and I'm like, nice. And I could already feel you. And I'm like, let's just, like, it's okay. Like, let's enjoy this. We don't do this very often.
No. And you did say that. And it is fine. But we also did sleep in. It wasn't like we did.
No, it was great.
You know, it was awesome.
But it's that moment because I don't always wake up next to you.
No,
right?
There's always
like you get up at times
and
before me or, you know, so that's what I meant and I didn't express.
Yeah.
But a lot of times we don't just wake up together and lay there together and just be with each other.
No, I woke up this morning because usually when I wake up, it's freaking dark out for a couple hours still.
Yeah.
You know, and I wake up and I look at the blinds and I see like the sun is coming through.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes. I was like, we slept in. Like I made it. Like we slept. It's like a little bit later in the day already. You know, I was actually excited about that.
We were so into the now. You know, I moved my hand over and I felt you. And I'm like, well, hello there, Mr. Ramirez. And then, of course, one thing led to another. And we created some magic this morning.
There we go.
Yeah. And so we have to, that's what being in the present moment leads to, you guys.
Yep.
Don't you want some of that? Not when you are just like slowing down. That's what he was talking about, like time too, like just it doesn't, yeah, it exists, but it's exactly how you explained it, by the way. That was beautiful. But
Thanks,
just
babe.
being in that very moment, like with each other, where time does not time did not exist for me this morning, being next to you and just taking in that moment.
Yep.
Yeah. There was no time. I was like, fuck time.
We got all the time in the world right now.
We got like no agenda. Yes, we got to record, but this is what's important right now. Moment. Right. Like, this is what's important right now. And it was amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah. I mean, I think too, let's go on this. Yesterday was, again, I've been wanting to have fun. Like, I'm just like, let's have some
fun. And you did awesome. That was awesome. It was an awesome day all the way around.
Yeah. So Audrey wanted to go check out ASU again. I think she's going to end up going to ASU. I can see this. And beautiful day, right? A little chilly, but beautiful day. And we're out and about, and we decided that we were going to, just have this weekend to be with us. And,
family weekend.
Yeah. And so we were with each other, and I was making a bracelet. Like, they had fun things for you to do.
Activities and stuff.
And Miguel was like, so what are we going to do after? And, he was throwing out some things like, let's go to Top Golf. But I'm like,
let's go axe throwing.
And that, like, axe throwing, like, that sounds fun. Like, that sounds cool. But my little kid's like,
throwing axes?
No.
Like, you don't think they want to throw axes?
I don't know, but
it'll be an experience. We'll do it another time. Right.
Yeah. But I was just like, rides. Like, let's go
on some rides.
Yeah. And so we took the kids to Castles and Coasters,
which is like a little amusement park that they have out here. Yeah, like a local one.
And the kids were so, because we didn't tell them anything. We just decided that we were going to go, and we went. And we had such a good time together.
We closed the place out.
Dude, being. Like, that's what I'm talking about. Like, being. Nobody was, like, on their phones. Like,
dude, you know what'll help you?
Pictures.
Just be?
What?
Get in a freaking go-kart.
Oh.
You will be in the moment.
So fun. We had so much fun. We went on single cars the first time, and oh my God, it was a shit show. Like,
they're like, don't be aggressive,
right?
Don't be bumping people. We're all slamming into each other.
Oh my God,
cutting each other off.
It was like the total opposite of what we did, and we had such a fun group though.
Yeah,
like our first group was fun.
The people running it, the people racing in it.
Yeah,
it was fun.
And I had a fast little car, so it was fun. And Joey went like. That kid like he was having a blast ramming us, and just like we had so much.
And you know what? Like
fun.
They didn't want to do it at first.
Yeah.
They wanted to ride with us.
Yeah. They wanted us to drive. And we're like.
And we've had situations like this in the past, going to like a water park, and there's like this big slide. And I'm telling them, I'm like, yeah, you're going to be scared. I was like, but I guarantee you. And there's been times like, I'm like fucking throwing them up there. Like, dude, go. I don't want to hear, stop crying. Get up there. And then when you come down, I don't want to hear shit about you. Oh, I want to go back. Because I know how it goes. And they go down the slide one time. And then they just cannot stop. Dad, right. I'm gonna be over here, up and down the slide, up and down the slide. Yeah. And it was the same thing. It's like they didn't want to ride the go-karts.
They were just nervous because they're actually driving.
Like, but when you see them, like they're going quick. Maybe if you put your finger in the wrong place, you can break your finger. But chances are you'll be fine even if you spin out, And they get in there and they had a freaking blast.
Oh, we all had Joey was freaking that boy. Like, once you put him behind that wheel and he got comfortable, he's competitive.
All gas,
like, he
no
was
brakes.
Like, you are not getting in front of me. And we had so much fun. We laughed so hard. And then going on we went on a roller coaster and that was fun, but I think the drop was really fun because I got to experience that with Audrey and Adriana and I. It's funny because we feel the same about that. I think you too. Like it's the you want to feel anxiety?
We were talking about it yesterday.
You want to feel anxiety?
You want to work on
that shit.
You want to work on being in the moment?
God, right. But because the anxiety?
That's all it is the build up.
Yes.
Till you get to the top. It's one of those where you're just on this rail, like on a car, and you're going straight up in the air.
Yes.
Like who knows how many freaking hundreds of feet. And then you get to the top and you don't know exactly where the top is. No. And boom, you just drop straight down.
And normally there's a pause and then there's a click because we went to Universal and that one was way higher. But normally there's a pause.
Nope.
And then a click.
It's instant.
And no. Adriana and I, and we're holding hands, by the way, and we're going up there. And by the way, it was beautiful. Like when we got up there, the scenery, we were in it. And we're holding our hands and we're talking, right? We're talking, blah, 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 blah. And all of a sudden, bam. Oh my God. Like her and I, you couldn't even scream. Like it was just insane.
Yeah, it's like nuts. Uncontrollable. You just got to go with it. The last one that I went on with Joey, like on the way, the whole way down, I was like, fuck. It's like I couldn't hold it.
I don't like that anxiety feeling. I do not. Because, I've never really, now I know what that feels like.
Joey loves it.
He does. And so when I went with Joey up there, and Audrey the second time, I'm like, I'm just going to scream. I'm going to release this energy just to like let it go because I feel it building up within me, not knowing like when we're going to be dropped. So I'm just like, I'm going to scream. And as soon as I screamed, what happened? Do you remember? They dropped us.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. You screamed first. And then was that we were on it? You were with Audrey.
I was with Audrey.
Yep. Yes. I remember because I heard you guys screaming. And then because I was telling Joey, I was like, at this point, it could happen at any moment. Like we're up here.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you scream and we're not dropping yet. And then as soon as you're done, boom, we go.
Yeah.
It was
I'm like, I got to release this because it's just building up inside of me. And I love rides. That ride right there, even though I like it, it mentally fucks with me. Yeah. That ride. Yeah.
You know what? I got to tell the kids too. I don't remember if it was Joey or Audrey. It might have been Audrey because she was saying, one of her friends is scared of like going upside down or whatever. And I told her, I was like, you know who helped me with that? I was like, Nano, my grandfather. He helped me with that. Like until he was an older man, he would love going on rides.
Really?
And I remember when I remember it was one of those things, just the fear of going upside down. Mm-hmm. It's an irrational fear. Like I just didn't know.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things like my grandfather, I was like, okay, if I'm going to be with my grandfather, I'll probably be okay. Right. And it wasn't like a crazy roller coaster. It was like a little theme park smaller than the one that we went to here in New York. And it was just a thing that kind of flipped in a circle.
Yeah.
A couple times. And then it would maybe it would go back the other way.
Oh, I like that's called the super. Oh, that's one of my favorite rides.
Yeah. And
Super Loop.
And I kind of learned that, that was another moment in my life where I kind of had the same thing with the slide with Joey and with the go-karts. Yeah. And it was like, I'm so scared of this. And I went in it with my grandfather. And after I went in it, I was like, I want to be over here. And then it's just like fucking going in circles and circles and circles. You know what I mean?
See, so with that, right? When Joey was scared because of the unknown, right? First time getting on it, that right there. And this is where us as parents, we have to take ourselves back because we too were that scared child as well. Yeah. But it's like saying, you know what, buddy? I know you're scared because I remember I was your age and there was this ride and my grandfather wanted me to get on it. And I was so scared. Like I was so scared because I never done it before. So I understand how you're feeling. But let me tell you something. I decided to get on that ride anyway because I'm with my nano and I know like he's wants everything good for me and he's going to protect me. So I went on this ride anyway. So I beat the fear and I absolutely loved it. Yep. And I don't want you to not have this
miss out on that experience.
If you don't like it the first time, that's okay. Then you don't ever have to get on it again. But I think you should give yourself this experience.
Yeah. And chances are you're going to like it.
But it's taking yourself back to that age so that they can see, okay.
You know what? There's something there's a reason why people love sales so much, or like there's something about sales. Like some people look at it as like they look down on sales as a career or something. But sales is something that, even though I wasn't like really good at it, maybe I don't have that type of personality to be out selling stuff all the time, but I really enjoyed, because what it is it's psychology. It's learning people.
Yes.
You know, and learning different techniques, learning different thought processes and all this stuff. And I remember a sales technique that they taught me that I've used in so many different ways outside of sales.
Yeah, I know where you're going.
And it's called feel, felt, found.
Yeah.
And dude, like look for opportunities to use this. And that is a perfect opportunity. Like, dude, I know exactly how you feel.
Yeah.
Because I used to feel the same exact way when I was a little kid. It used to scare the shit out of me.
Yes.
And then my grandfather, I was like, he's going to keep me safe. And I'm going to, you know what? I'm going to give it a shot.
Yes.
And once we went on it once, I found that I loved the ride. Yeah. And I would not, like, I was just going to, you know, feel, felt, and found.
It's so funny because that's something that I do naturally. So
I need techniques.
You need techniques.
That's what I'm saying. Like, we're all different. Like for you, that kind of stuff. And you know, we'll get into, but we're all different, and we're good at different things, but it doesn't mean you can't get better at stuff and find ways to incorporate different things.
Yeah.
You know?
So be in the present moment.
Yeah. Dude,
if you're listening to us or watching us, listen to us.
Yeah.
Watch us.
On YouTube, on Facebook, make sure you go to our website, oppositesattractpodcast.com. Like we said before, Valentine's Day's coming up. It's in a couple weeks. Your birthday's next week. If you guys got a birthday or something coming up and you guys want to buy something on Amazon or whatever else you guys are shopping for on Amazon, because we know you are, make sure you guys go through our link. You go to oppositesattractpodcast.com, click on the support the show tab at the top. It'll take you to our Amazon link. You don't have to pay anything extra on Amazon. It's all the same price. But when you do and you click through our link, it helps out the show and we get a little kickback for helping us out. Yeah.
Yes. And if you would like to support the show in a different manner, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/oppositepod and buy us a virtual drink. And you could submit to that on a monthly basis as well.
Yep.
So, yeah.
You can subscribe. And like we said before, the best thing you guys can do. You guys can share this with somebody else. Let them know that it exists. Share your favorite clip with them. Yes. Let them know what we were talking about. Oh, they were talking about something. You know, that reminds me of something that I heard on a podcast. Mm-hmm. And then be like, oh, yeah, I listened to this podcast with, you know, Miguel and Sonja. And this is where you can find it, you know? And
all this stuff that we're talking about, too, like taking the kids to Castles and Coasters and you and I having fun and being, you know, just being that. That's a part of us that we lose at a very young age. We were talking to Joey about this. Yeah. And it's sad when you see it happen, especially to your own children, when you realize that Joey has such a beautiful smile. And one day he came up to me and he said, Mom, how can I make this gap go away in between my teeth? And it's just because he doesn't have all his teeth in. He still has baby teeth. And the only reason that came up was because someone said something to him. Yeah. And all of a sudden, this beautiful little boy stopped fucking smiling.
Yeah. And there's something, I've seen pictures of people, like there's been pictures that have come up and it could be a picture of an older person.
Yeah.
That's all wrinkled. And they have this smile and this look on their face.
Yeah.
That is beautiful.
Yes. Yeah.
They could have crooked teeth.
Yeah.
And the picture turns out beautiful.
Yeah.
Because they're just being.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And think about,
we've all seen these pictures. Yeah. Like there is something, even if you feel wrinkles are ugly, or crooked teeth are ugly, or whatever, when you look at this picture and you see how they smile and just, it's more than just the smile. Yeah. Right?
We had this conversation during breakfast yesterday with our children.
Oh man.
And
that was a hell, dude. Yeah, I wanted to. I'm glad we were gonna get into this no matter what, but man, I've never heard a talk like that before. I can tell you that. I've never seen anybody speak, and you were talking to us, to me, to the kids, but this was directed towards Joey, but it was a family talk that we had during breakfast, and it was powerful. I mean, you took him, and we took him through a lot of different things, through self-judgment, through caring what people think about you, to how powerful you actually are, to what you are capable of, to how to like stack wins up. Like we just went through all kinds of stuff. And when you were talking, like I was crying too. Like I couldn't, yeah, I felt it. We all did. That was awesome, babe.
Thank you. It's what I do.
It is what you do.
My gift.
Get a hold of Sonja for sure. Best coach in the world.
Thank you.
And look out for that book because it's coming.
And it's going to be hot.
Yeah.
It's going to be so good. It's going to save a lot of lives. But we do that. Like we adults allow people to change us and take us from our natural state of being, of who we are. And I seen it with Joey, and I seen it with Audrey, with that, I remember her. And when you're listening to this about yourself and
think
how
of
this
examples
happened to
of how
you
this has
or your
happened.
children.
Yeah.
Audrey had this dress. I remember taking her to Target, and I did not want to buy her the dress. She fucking loved this dress.
It was a My Little Pony dress.
It was not.
Or maybe not, but it was the
not
colors
that,
of it.
but the colors were very similar
To Rainbow
Dash. But it had these beautiful wings, and when you would open it, they were wings, and they were all different
like
colors.
Flowy. Yeah.
Yes. And the dress was blue, and she fucking loved it, and she was so excited about it. And she wore it to school. One time, I seen her wear it to school. And then I realized that she wasn't wearing, that I had not seen her wear it again. So I asked her about it. And she said some little girl told her that she looked like Rainbow Dash, which was a younger thing.
Yeah.
Right? And she stopped wearing the dress she loved. And I'm like, that's fucking heartbreaking to see that. And I had a talk with her about it. And that's where the conversation came up. But I realized, how many times do we adults fucking do that?
Right.
Like somebody tells us something about us.
Yeah.
And we buy into that and we recreate who we actually are, or we're not living to who we were created to be because we're so busy trying to people please and make everyone else like us.
Like at what point is it not okay anymore?
It's
never. If you don't like that, like if you have a rainbow dress, at what point is it not okay to like that dress anymore?
I don't give a shit.
You know what I mean? Or whatever, because there's so many times that, like you said, we'll do or don't do things because we're worried about what somebody else might think about it.
Nope. It's what makes you happy. And that's the thing. Like, we don't know. So many of us don't even know who we are. We don't even know what we like because we're so busy trying to please everybody else. Like, I don't give a shit. Like, I've been wearing my hair I cut my hair, and normally I wear in one, right? And it looks very sophisticated and it looks good. But the way my hair is cut right now, it's hard for me to bring that look back. So whatever, I figured out another way, and I don't give a shit. Yeah, I'm going to be 47 years old, fucking wearing pigtails, and I rock them.
I like them.
And I don't give a shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I go to the gym, but it's funny because people actually like it. They're like, oh, your hair looks so cute like that. I'm like, thank you. But even if they didn't say that, I don't give a shit.
Right.
I want to wear these piggy tails. I'm going to fucking wear these piggy tails. And it's funny because my friend Betty, shout out to Betty, I did a Facebook Live with her. And she's like, are you wearing pigtails? She didn't notice, right? Until I turned around and I said, yeah. And she just started laughing so hard. But it's like, I allow other people to realize, like, do what you want to do. Be who you are. Because there's going to come a time where you're going to be on your deathbed and you're not going to know who you are because you've been living your life for everybody else.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. There's that video, The Paradox of Being Nice. Make sure you guys check that out. That reminds me, as far as the resource list, when you guys go to our website, we're going to start making some other stuff. I'm going to make a list of videos that are kind of like this, similar to before, but it's just going to be a list of things that really just kind of open your mind, that have opened our minds to like really different ways of thinking. But yeah, but that's one, the paradox of being nice. Look that up.
And it's so powerful when you start to realize who you are, because you become unstoppable. And yes, it takes work.
Yeah.
But fuck.
Exactly.
When you realize who you are, you can create everything and anything that you've been looking for. And when you are leading your home, when you are leading your home, your children see you, feel you, know you. You are creating that for your children to be. Right? To be. You're giving them permission to be who they are created to be. That's huge.
It's perfect, babe. Yeah. There was I've been telling you that there was something that I've been wanting to share with you, and you led right into it. There was a friend of mine from work, that awesome guy, and we were talking on Thursday, and I can't remember exactly how we got into it, but it kind of came up about, I don't know if it was talking about your spouse or grabbing, like feeling your spouse up when they go by. Like somehow we got into like this conversation, right? But maybe it started with how people talk about their spouse. I don't remember exactly, but it was like one of these things that I was telling him, because it seems like, just kind of talking a little bit, like we maybe have similarities in our relationships, right? And I was like, dude, I've heard it before, just being at work and crossing with other people, that hearing the way people talk about their spouse, you know, it's like, my fucking wife this, or they call her the ball and chain, you know, but maybe it's a joke, but there is some, like for them, some truth to that,
right?
Joking. And I was like, I can't imagine like having to like living like that or thinking that way about my wife, you know, because anytime that I think about you or I talk about you, it's positive stuff, right?
Right.
And he was telling me that, he was like, yeah, like it's just crazy to him. He's like that whenever he's home with his family and his kids, he's like, yeah, like I'll slap my wife's butt. And he's older than me. You know, he's older than us.
Yeah.
He's like, I'll slap my wife's butt when she's going by. Or like I'll give her a hug and I'll like feel her up a little bit. And I'm like, dude, like this is the same shit.
Who
right?
is that? Well,
you know,
you can tell me after.
Yeah. And one thing that he shared with me is that obviously it's rubbed off on his kids.
Yeah.
But he told me that there's a Hispanic guy, right? And his daughter's friends growing up, and he's like, they make friends and they come over.
Yeah.
And he was like, there was this little white girl that came over one time, and she just loves us and comes over, and she told him that one day I'm going to have a relationship like yours. And she calls him, I can't remember exactly, but pretty much like Papa.
Aw.
You know?
I love that.
And just over the years, she kept coming by.
Yeah.
And now she's older. His kids are older. And he said that she met like a Mexican kid.
Yeah.
Like a Mexican kid.
Yeah.
And dude, like she has learned Spanish. Like she still calls and they stay in touch.
Aww.
But it's like we've talked about before, like that example that just from being the example that other people get to see.
Yes.
And dude, like it's one of those things that makes you feel so good, like hearing something like that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, there's like Audrey has a friend that just.
And I was telling him that too. I was like, dude, we have like there's friends that come over that you know that you like, even if it's just joking with them or give them a little shot to the stomach. I mean, not really, but like playing, you know? It's they get to be around it.
Yeah. And it's just who you're being. It's how you're showing up in the world and how you're leading. It's like you may not be able to save the world, right? But man, you can impact everyone around you by how you're showing up in the world.
And that changes them, which changes the people around them.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was pretty cool.
So.
Man, oh man.
There's so much.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, I have the fun of, okay, so I got that, the fun and the importance of having fun. We nailed that, right? Like it is very important to continue to be that inner child, to bring that inner child out.
Yeah.
Right? Through song and dance and just being silly. Like just
That's
be
something
that's
something we focused on this weekend, and we're gonna do more of before the weekend ends. We're gonna spend some more family time together and hang out with the kids.
Yes.
You know, earlier we were kind of getting into that anxiety feeling, right? That you have from the projections of the future. And man, we've had so many good talks with the kids this weekend. And Joey, I signed him up for a jiu-jitsu tournament. And a lot of times these are like you put yourself out there, and that can cause anxiety of what is going to come, because you're stepping into the unknown. That is what it is. Mm-hmm. Right? But like we were talking about before, it's like you want to be in the moment, not so much like if you're in this case for Joey, he's got a tournament, be in the moment of the training of what you're supposed to do. Yes, maybe think about a little bit like getting your hand raised, but don't go too far into that. Use that, but focus on right now.
Right.
And it is different when you do when you make a commitment and you say, I'm going to do something.
Yeah.
Because some anxiety may come, and maybe that's normal. That's a normal part of things, but control that. And with Joey, we were talking about it, and I kind of should.
You know how to control that?
How?
By knowing who you are.
And we talked about that this weekend too, and how you can change that. How like I've also had that moment of feeling like I'm stupid, and I shared that with the kids this weekend. Mm-hmm. But then I also kind of shared how over my life I've proven to myself that I'm not stupid. That I might be smarter than most, not in an arrogant way or whatever, but when you do enough things, it becomes undeniable.
Do you still feel that you have to prove yourself?
No.
Okay.
I don't have to prove shit to myself.
Okay.
Now it's, what are my possibilities? Right?
Okay. Yes.
Like, what am I capable of?
Yeah.
Because kind of like when we had that old podcast with BNS, it's like what one can be, one must be. Mm-hmm. Right? And you think about that more when you realize your potential, what you're capable of. Mm-hmm. And so now Joey's got this goal, and we got to work towards that. And I was telling, and I talked to him about fighting and about how I have been as a kid and how I always somehow come back to fighting. Even though I never want to fight, that's the last thing I want to do. Everybody, when we go to class and it's time to fight each other, that's most people's favorite part of the class. I freaking hate fighting other people. Or at least I tell myself that I hate fighting other people. But it's just the fear. It's the anxiety of what may happen. And it may happen. But I told Joyce, like, we never die. Right? We always, like, that is the ultimate outcome. I'm going to get smashed and I'm going to die. But we never seem to die. Maybe we get hurt a little bit here and there.
Right.
But we always make it out.
Right.
And it seems like we always learn something or we get a little bit better or whatever.
And after you push yourself to do it, how do you feel?
You know, yeah. You feel amazing.
Yes.
You know when you don't grow? When you're in the fight and you still have the anxiety of what's happening.
Yes.
When you grow is when you're in the fight, but you get in the moment. Because we had that experience on Friday when we went to jiu-jitsu. Now it's a little bit of a different motivation for Joe. And I'm like, all right, dude, now we gotta start throwing down in class. Because you don't want the first time for you to be throwing down is at the tournament.
Right.
So let's start throwing down. I know you can. Just focus. It doesn't mean, go around destroying people like if you're fighting somebody smaller. But if it's somebody that's your size and they're giving you trouble, give them fucking trouble back.
Right.
Like, don't feel bad. Let's compete. Mm-hmm. And he went in there and he did awesome. He did awesome.
So
I'm like, and sometimes maybe you do have to think about what may happen and make a plan for yourself because you don't want to get into a fight. I mean, at least in this situation, you don't want to go in there and just be like, I'm just going to be in the moment. It's like, well, no. How about first, how am I going to take this person down? Let's come up with a plan. And then in the moment, I can change my plans if I need to.
Yes.
But let's have a plan going into this. I'm going to try this. If this doesn't work, I'm going to try this. If they try to do this to me, then maybe I'll start working. But at least think some things through. Some scenarios. That's using the clock time versus using the psychological time, right? And he was doing that. And he was going from one thing to the next. This thing didn't work. And he's like, okay, I'm starting to defend here. Maybe I can escape there. Maybe I can get on top now. And he was scrapping. And then he did awesome. After class, he comes over and I gave him a hug. And I'm like, dude, I was watching. I didn't get to see everything. But every time I looked at you, you were fucking throwing down. And you were giving kids trouble. Like, it was a good. I was like, did you submit anybody? He's like, I don't think so. I was like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. How do you feel?
Yeah.
He's like, I feel good. I was like, that's awesome. You did awesome. And then after kids class is adult class. And like I just mentioned, for me, like I'm watching him. I know that I have to fucking do this shit.
Right.
And typically we start class, we warm up a little bit, we drill for a while, and then we start sparring with each other. But our gym is moving to a bigger location. Check out Carlos Farias Jiu-Jitsu in Mesa. They're opening up a new school. It's going to be awesome, even bigger. So if you guys are looking for a place to train in the Northeast Mesa area, definitely check out Carlos Farias Jiu-Jitsu. Yeah, I can't say more good things about the school and the team that we have because the community
it's very loving.
that coach has built is incredible. So we're moving to a new school. And adult class is about to start, but we're all adults and we're all like family, teammates, right? So coach is like, hey, you guys want to check out the gym? Yeah. And I was like, okay, well, we're supposed to be like drilling and doing class right now. So we walk down the street and we go check it out. And then it's like, well, if we're not drilling, then, like class is still going to happen. Right. Somebody's going to. So we get back to our old gym after we go check it out. And it's like 15 minutes into class now. And he's like, yeah, let's just fight. I was like, fuck. That's like, we have 35 minutes or 40 minutes left of class. And it's like, let's just fight. Like, let's not even practice.
Right.
Why don't you guys just beat each other up?
Oh my God.
And I'm like, motherfucker.
Yeah.
So I go back to my bag. I grab my black belt that I have in my bag.
Yeah.
And I just hold on to it for a little bit. And I look at the red tab on the belt. I'm like, I guess I'm going to fight. So I grab my blue belt out of the bag and I put it on. And I start fighting. And maybe it's a good thing because like sometimes it's tough. Sometimes you start fighting and it's time to fucking throw down from the very start. Right? And maybe this class was a little bit different, which was good for me too, because I didn't have to start throwing down and killing each other right from the jump.
Right.
We knew we had 40 minutes of fighting coming.
Yeah.
So we're all just kind of working and turning it up little by little and having a good time, but it's still fighting and it's tough. But in that moment, being able to, like I said, when you're not in that moment, you're just trying to survive. And it's like, oh no, they're going to do this.
Right.
They're going to get even better position. Oh no, they're going to crush me.
Yeah.
You're not thinking about, I need to get my leg in to create space.
Right.
Maybe I can grab this arm and attack it.
Yes.
And I was going from one thing to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing. And one thing that this anxiety of not wanting to fight has built up is me forgetting how much jiu-jitsu I actually know.
Right.
And after fighting 5 rounds that night, I was like, dude, I was doing all kinds of shit.
Yeah.
It's not just, oh, fuck.
Right. Yeah.
You know? And I got to share that with Joey too.
Yeah.
You know?
I have this, which fits perfect. Transformation happens when doing hard things in an ordinary life, not meditating in a cave.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, it's like we have to be and do. It's not just
be, and it's not just do.
No, you have to have both.
Be do. Is that the Minions? The Minions. That's so a parent joke. Be do.
But it's like, who are you being? Right? Like, this business is not going to build itself. You know, I am very aware of me, and I know that in order to create this book, I must write. And there are some that get stuck in the healing process. You're healing, you're doing this, you're doing that, you're trying this, you're trying that, but you're not doing. You're so stuck because you feel, okay, what's next? I'm broken. I still need this. I still need that. But you're not doing anything with what you are learning. You get stuck in this knowledge mode, right? Or feeling. That's kind of different, but it's you know, I see a lot of, and you read a lot about it, like people that are in this healing process and they're just in the healing process. Yeah. They're not building the business or recreating who they are learning that they are.
Yeah.
It's waiting for the next hit. So you can get stuck. Oh my gosh, okay, wait, this is for another episode. Because
we got so much more to talk about.
Because you can get stuck. Like you can get stuck with a good thing. You know how I said there's numbers?
Yeah.
Eating, sex.
It could be personal development.
Yes. Yes. It's like, no.
Go do all those quotes.
Go be. Yeah. Go do.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
You have to continue to move. You got to continue to challenge yourself. You have to continue to put yourself in these situations so that you can grow. But so many people get stuck in the being.
Yeah.
But there's times where you need to be. See, okay, we got to stop here. There's times where you need to be still. And it comes with discernment and knowing who you are. Am I procrastinating because I don't want to do this? Or is it because I'm supposed to be still right now? Like there's times where I knew I had to be still. God said, I need you to be still. And I said, okay. Like, I need you to be still. Okay. But it's also knowing and listening and hearing, okay, I need you to move. It's kind of like with this book. The reason why I didn't write the book was because I wrote a page was because there was still a limited belief that I had within me that was preventing me from moving forward. Well, I just realized what that was.
What was that limited belief?
That I still, I was not smart enough. The punctuation, just that.
Yeah. That you weren't smart.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And then I had a coach friend of mine who's absolutely amazing, Sam, who did this breakthrough session for me.
Yeah.
And I realized I am not smart. I'm wise. Wise beyond my years.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's so much more that we want to get into. Yeah. There's something that I wanted to wrap this up with that we talked about yesterday at the table with the kids, that I talked to the kids about. I mean, all of us, we were just all having that conversation. Mm-hmm. And I want to elaborate more on that conversation. We got to maybe reflect on it and take some more notes, and then we can talk about it next week. But that thought of I am not smart. Mm-hmm. And I think that is a thought that a lot of people have as a kid. At one point or another, that shit gets into our heads. It's one of those things. Mm-hmm. For a lot of people, I think that happens in a different way. And it happened to me too. And then I was telling you guys that throughout my life, there's been different things that have kind of gave me a glimpse of, maybe you are smart. One of those I was telling the kids is that when I was little, I didn't care about school. Maybe it was rebelling against what my dad would say, that I wasn't smart, or maybe I wanted to prove it to him, or I don't know. Or maybe school was boring and I should have been learning in a group instead of in a classroom like we were talking about before.
Yeah.
There's so many different things that it could be. But I would fail pretty much all year. Kindergarten, I did pretty good probably because it's all hanging out with kids. But once you've got to start writing and doing shit, I didn't really want to do any of that stuff. And what kid wants to do that, right? So at the very end of the year, if I didn't pass school, I was going to get up my ass beat.
Yeah.
So within the last 2 or 3 months, I would tell my teacher, my dad would tell me, go ask your teacher, what can you do to pass? What do you have to do? If you have to do 100 fucking assignments in the next 3 weeks, that's what you're going to do. Mm-hmm. And that's what I did. Is there anything that I'm missing? Oh, you're fucking missing everything. Oh, okay, but I'm not going to get full credit for this stuff. Is there any extra credit that I can do? Well, you can do this and this and this for extra credit. Uh-huh. And it's like, all right, well, fuck. Now the next 2 weeks of my life are going to be cramming, writing, extra credit, and then I pass. Mm-hmm. But these things have happened with Joey too, where you get on this roll and then things start happening. And then for those 2 or 3 weeks or that month, it's like, wow, if I could do this in a month, what I was supposed to do an entire year,
right?
Maybe I am smart.
Yeah.
And then that goes away and I get another reminder the next year and the year after that and the year after that. And then things start happening that, like other things, maybe doing a spelling bee, getting second place. I did get a second place in a spelling bee, and I remember just studying my ass off for that. I got second place and I misspelled the word fucking second, which is why I came in second. I was like, fuck. I still remember that shit.
That's funny.
Because I got second.
Yeah.
And then throughout my life, there's things that I've been naturally good at. Things that are supposed to be difficult.
Right.
Taking college classes when I never took my SATs because I never had plans on going to college. All my friends were like, oh, I'm going to take your SATs. Have you taken this? It's like, for what? Mm-hmm. And then you sign up for, I don't know, a fucking black belt 6 Sigma class, like an engineering statistics class. That's fucking super complicated. And ace it.
Yeah.
Sign up for a class with MIT and ace it.
Right.
Sign up for going back and just thinking about stuff, going to aircraft school after slicing meat in a deli and learning how to fix jets.
Right.
And then getting my license, which outside of the military, which is like when you really look at it, it's a complicated license to get. You need to know electrical. You need to know how to work with wooden fucking planes. You need to know all these different things.
Right.
And I didn't go to school for, like most people take classes for that. I took one class while I was in the military. And then after that, I just studied and passed. I failed once. I failed the test once. And I went back and passed it again and got my license. And you have all these things that start to add up. Like I said, it starts to become undeniable.
Right.
Like there was nothing that anybody can tell me like, oh, you're fucking stupid. It's like, whatever.
Right.
Whatever. Like you have no clue who I am. I know who I am.
Yeah, exactly.
And when you have that the one beautiful thing about jiu-jitsu is that it's so fucking hard. And these feelings do come up. Mm-hmm. But one thing that I know about me is that I start stuff and I continue. I will keep showing up and I can keep getting beat up until my belt turns black.
Right.
That is, I know that about myself. Mm-hmm. Maybe I'll have anxiety the entire fucking time, but I will keep fucking showing up.
Yeah.
And I won't, you know? And I was talking to my friend Phil on my podcast, Fighting for Your Life podcast. Make sure you check that out too. That he was very similar too. Mm-hmm. You know, he was the last episode that's going to come out. He was very similar too. He would be just naturally good at stuff. And that is one thing about jiu-jitsu is like, it's just, you get on there and it is so outside of anything. It's one thing that I don't think you can just be good. Well, no, that's not true. Some people are just good at it. That's not most people. Mm-hmm. But there is something about doing something difficult.
Right.
And if you're naturally good at something, maybe find something that is hard for you that is worth it for you.
Right.
You know? And when you start building that up, man, it's powerful.
And you can use that in every part of your life.
Because yesterday, after we started sharing all that with Joey, like sharing with him the examples of what made me feel stupid, mm-hmm. and how I've proven it to myself time and time and time and time again that I'm not stupid. Right. That book is going to be another thing for you, right? Mm-hmm. How could you be stupid if you write fucking books and people buy them and listen to them and change their lives? You can't. You just can't. Right?
Yeah. We have to learn how to self-reflect, take the cookies out of the cookie jar to remind ourselves how amazing we actually are.
And then put them back in the jar and get busy.
And the retreat was that for me.
Right.
And now we have another retreat coming up May 17th through the 19th. So if you're interested in attending, there's room right now, but there won't be room for long.
What's the email? Where can they send you an email? Where can they call you?
healinghearts@sonjaRamirez.com. So that's healinghearts@Sonja, SONJA, Ramirez, RAMIREZ.com. Or you can give us a call too.
You can call Healing Hearts at 602-633-5658.
Yes, yes.
Yep. And if you guys want to send us a call or send us a message, you can call us at 480-331-9846. You can call the podcast, leave us a message, leave us a question that you want us to answer. Make sure you guys go to our website and you support the show there and share this with somebody else.
Yes, yes. Thank you guys for your love. Thank you for your support. And thank you for watching Opposites Attract podcast,
where we get better
together. Bye.